coaches and athletes in smaller sports, in niche sports, because a lot of the big sports, you know, the football, the basketball, the baseball, have a lot of support. They can go and get those coaches, those specialist coaches and things. A lot of the smaller sports don't have the funds, the resources, and sometimes the knowledge to be able to support those athletes as coaches. So I've been going in and supporting those organizations or those coaches or those athletes, filling in the gaps where maybe the coach doesn't know. So I really enjoy doing that. I've been fortunate to work with a lot of different sports, powerlifting, duathlon, soccer, volleyball, beach volleyball, actually, you know, racquetball, all kinds of different sports. Try to be active on social media. FSU Coach has a Facebook page. I'm going to talk about that later, but you can find me on Twitter at Baghurst. Next up is Dr. Megan Buning. She joined us this fall, and she came from Georgia. She is a certified mental sports performance consultant. So essentially, I can't use the word sports psychologist, but that's essentially what she does. She is a former college athlete. She was at the University of South Carolina. I had to think about that, because if I got it wrong, I'd be in trouble. And then went and coached. She coached at FSU and at Ole Miss before becoming an analyst for the ACC and SEC networks for softball. So she comes from a very different background, the team sport, the college model, those kind of things. And then one of the things that she does a lot of is working with officials and helping them with mental performance. We talk about athletes, we talk about coaches, but we don't really talk about officials having to make big decisions or handle anxiety or stress or some of those things. And you can find her on Twitter at Dr. Buning. So I want to talk a little bit about what FSU Coach is, and then I'm going to talk about what we do. And I was like, well, how do I talk about what FSU Coach is? And I thought, you know what, I'll get someone else to talk about it for me. We have this guy at FSU who's called Mike Martin. He happens to be the winningest coach in NCAA history for college baseball. And he said this, he said, I didn't get to my first College World Series and stop. I constantly look for ways to improve my craft. Doesn't matter what level you coach, you should always be improving your skill set. FSU Coach provides such training and development, and I'm excited to be part of it. This is what we're trying to do. It's not just a, hey, you want a certificate? Come take our classes. We'll give you a certificate. This is, what are you interested in? How can we help you get better? How do we continue to help you get better, even when you're not part of FSU Coach? That's what we're trying to build, which is a little different to what you may normally see at a university program. So there's 4 areas of emphasis in FSU Coach. It is a center. It's housed in the College of Education, but it's a university level center. So we work with different departments across campus to provide you with what we can. Academic program is obviously a core component, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But we also do research and coaching. We also look at how we improve sports performance. We also work with coaches in improving their skills and developing them, in helping them with talks to their athletes or something like that. And then we also do organizational support. And a good example of this came out this month, actually, where FSU Coach partnered with the Women's Football Alliance, which is the tackle football equivalent of the NFL for women, where we actually did an agreement with them where we're going to be hosting a coaching clinic in the spring for them on women's football. So that's an example of how we're working with organizations. We have some more of those organizations. Actually, we'll be announcing that in the coming weeks. So one of the things that we do, academic programming, is the graduate certificate in athletic coaching. And it's basically 4 total classes. 3 of them are required, 1 of them is an elective. The 3 required are theory and practice of athletic coaching, philosophy and ethics of sport and coaching, and athletic coaching internship. I want to talk about the internship because this is one of the questions that I'll typically get is, well, what if I'm already coaching? And the answer to that is, that's great. Then we'll use the situation that we're in, that you're currently in. But what we want to do is provide some supervision, some observations, some feedback, those kinds of things to support what you're doing where you are. We don't want you to, hey, I'm coaching 60 hours a week in the fall and you want me to go, intern with field hockey. No, that's not what we're trying to do. If you're currently not coaching, then we want to find you a place where you can get some of that experience. But if you're currently coaching, we want to keep you where you're at, and help you improve where you're at. So I just want to clarify that one. In order to take the internship class, you have to have completed either one of the other 2 required classes. I don't want you going in and doing an internship with having no contact with us beforehand, and taking one of these classes. So you can start any semester. The spring semester is open, and I think enrollment for classes for non-degree seeking students is January 5th. If you're a degree seeking student at FSU, you can enroll much, much earlier. But as far as electives go, we have a list of electives you can take. But if you find a class, hey, Dr. Baggers, I really want to take this. I'm really interested in this sports nutrition class in human sciences. Absolutely, go for it. We'll count that as an elective. What I don't want is, hey, Dr. Baggers, I took this basket weaving class. You think I can count it? No, that's not happening. So make sure that you get permission to take that elective if it's not on the list. But as long as it's relevant to what you're trying to do, then I'm going to be approving that. So how do you apply and complete? It's pretty straightforward. If you're a non-degree seeking student, you have to apply to FSU first. So you apply as a non-degree seeking student. If you're already a student at FSU, you don't have to do that stage. December 1st is the deadline for the spring semester. You then, once you're accepted to FSU, you'll get your student ID number and your email address and all that fun stuff. You then complete a certificate application. So you apply to the certificate. That comes to me. It's pretty straightforward. It doesn't take you long to fill out, but it allows me to see why you're interested in this, what your tentative plan of study is going to be, and so on. That gets approved, and then you're good to go. You can register for classes, complete your classes. In your last class, you apply to complete the certificate. So what it is it's just informing me, hey, Dr. Baggers, I'm in my last class. I'm ready to graduate. So that allows me to go in and confirm you've got your GPA and you've completed all the classes. Then you get your nice certificate. Got to frame it and display it, right? So that's the steps to getting through the process. Now, that's the graduate certificate. We also have some scholarships. The 2 scholarships that we currently have are the Caress Taylor Memorial Fund and then the Janet Wells and Billy Jones Endowed Fund. They're not massive amounts, but it's a start. Recognize the certificate hasn't even been open a year, and so we're working on building out more scholarships. The good news is that the College of Ed also has a lot of other scholarships as well that you can apply for that are not specific. These are specific to the athletic coaching program. If you're not in the athletic coaching program, these are not scholarships for you. So if you're in this program, you can apply for these, and we awarded some this fall to students already in our program. But College of Ed and, of course, FSU have many other scholarships you can apply for as well. One of the things that's coming in 2021, which we haven't been able to really publicly announce because it's not official, because it's still going through a lot of rubber stamps and committees and things, is we've submitted a proposal to have a master's degree in athletic coaching. We hope that it will open in the summer of next year. That's the plan. I think at the very latest, the fall, but we're hoping for the summer. One of the cool things about this master's is that it's a brand new master's that's been built from scratch. And I should explain why this is important. Here's what happens at most universities. An administrator comes in and says, hey, Tim, we need a master's in coaching. Build one. But you can't create new classes because we can't pay more people to teach classes. So you have to use classes that already exist. And so what happens is Tim goes and he just pulls classes that have sport in them and puts them all together, throws in a couple classes in the certificate, and we call it a coaching degree. what happens is you graduate with a degree, a master's in coaching, but you haven't really been, it's not really about coaching. It's just a hodgepodge of creative ways of getting a coaching degree approved. This program has been designed from ground zero. And so if I went back and looked, I'm not sure that any class that's required in the master's degree existed a year ago, because we're creating all these new classes. Almost every class in there has coaching in the title, because it is being developed by coaches for the purpose of helping coaches. So it's a really unique degree. And you'll, when it comes out, if you compare it to other masters in coaching degrees, you'll find that it's quite different because of that. We have an advisory board for FSU Coach. You can go on our website and check it out, but we have a couple of athletic directors on there. We've got an NBA coach on there. I've got a Paralympic coach on there. And these are the people that I reach out to and say, okay, we're building a master's. What topics, what classes do we need to offer? What do coaches need to know in today's world? And so that's how we built this, which is really cool. It's 30 credit hours, which means you do 24 required and 6 elective. If you're in another program and you want to transfer over 6 hours, that's doable, unless you're in the certificate. If you're in the certificate, you can take all of your 12 hours in the certificate and transfer them into the master's. So that's something to think about. I know some students who, for example, are enrolling in the spring in the certificate because they want to do the master's when it opens. And so when the master's opens, they can just take those hours and put them already into the master's, and they're already, you know, partway through their program. So it's something to think about. I'll just preface that, you know, life, as we've seen in 2020, has a way of dramatically changing our how things work. So while we plan on having the master's in the summer of 2021, I'm not going to 100% confirm we are, because who knows. But this is the plan, and so far we haven't seen any red flags why this won't happen. Okay, a couple of other things to note. We have a Facebook page, which you can see there. It's pretty straightforward, FSU Coach. And we also have a YouTube channel. The YouTube channel, what we've been doing over the last, 8 months, is interviewing people in sports about their experiences and what they've learned and what advice they have, etc. It's been pretty cool. And you can see there on the picture, a few months ago, I got to interview Bob Bowman, who is at Arizona State, but was the coach for Michael Phelps. And that was a really cool interview to learn how he coached Michael Phelps and how Michael Phelps operated as an athlete. So one of the things, if you have a YouTube, if you use YouTube, subscribe to that channel, because usually once a week we interview somebody on that stream. And so you get an opportunity to interact live with them, ask them questions live. And it's been pretty unique and a real neat way of learning from people who you otherwise would never get to talk to. The monthly newsletter is something I send out every month. We include some kind of research outcomes, like how does this month, I'll give you a hint. We're looking at longevity in athletics and how performance declines over age in masters athletes. So that's the research that we're talking about. We do a quote, and I write a little bit about a quote I've read in a book. We provide some updates on news at FSU Coach and so on. So in order to do that, just go to that link, bit.ly/FSU-coach, and just enter your email address. That's all it is. And then once a month, you'll get that from us. The last thing I'm going to say at the end of my slides is anyone competitive? And the reason I ask this is because I was at Oklahoma State for 7 years, and I was a full professor. I had started programs. My programs were thriving. Life was good. Family was happy. But it was kind of boring. And what I mean by that is there were no more challenges for me. And so when I got the opportunity to come here and start FSU Coach, it was an opportunity to do something brand new, build something from scratch, and be the best in the country. That's my goal for FSU Coach. But it's also my goal for the students as well. I don't want students coming into our program who are mediocre, who are just kind of like, yeah, I'll get a certificate because it'll look good on my resume. That's not what Dr. Buning and I am about. We're about how do we make sure that you're successful? We give you all the tools you need to be successful, and then we push you to be successful. We like winning. We're super competitive. And if you are too, I would hope you are if you're interested in coaching or working with coaches. But if you're super competitive, then this is kind of the program for you, because we want to give you the best and make you the best, so that when you go out into the field and are working with your athletes and things, you're doing it right, you're doing it safe, and you're doing it effectively. And if you do those things, you're going to have success. So we want your success, because we're competitive. So if you're competitive, this is the place for you. That's my information, tbaghurst@fsu.edu. That's also my cell phone. I'd normally give out my office phone, but we're all working from home these days. So feel free to give me a call, send me a text, something if you want to have more questions. But I believe that's all I have. Jenny, do we have questions?
I haven't seen any yet, but if you guys have questions, you can either unmute yourself or put them in the chat.
This is where everyone gets shy. Okay, is it possible to do your coaching internship in the summer? Yes, potentially. It depends on how many students need to get it done in the summer. The reason that it was initially planned for the summer, the reason that we pulled it from the summer is because a lot of sports organizations in the summer actually shut down. And then what we found were, for example, if you're a high school coach, you need a fall or spring in order to do your internship. You don't need a summer because schools are shut. So yes, it's a possibility. I can't categorically say we'll for sure do it, but yes. Can you complete the certificate without having your bachelor's? No, there's a way that you can take some of the graduate classes while getting your bachelor's, but they won't count towards the certificate. And we had a situation with a student who wanted to get the certificate, was taking the graduate class, but the university won't allow you to get their graduate certificate if you don't have an undergraduate degree. So this may be well, I'm just going to put this in my back pocket for now. If you're an undergraduate and you take a graduate class, let's say you take coaching ethics, okay? You graduate with your degree and then say, I want to do the certificate. The university won't allow you to use that class that you already took. So in other words, you'd have to retake it. So my recommendation is, if you're an undergrad, hold off on taking the certificate until you graduated. Now I'm going to add a but, and the but is, who asked this question? Raquel. We're going to be working on an undergraduate certificate as well. That's in the pipeline as well, just like the master's is, but I don't think we'll see it for at least a year. So that's why I haven't really kind of, hey, we're going to do this. It's in the process. Yes. Jordana, sorry, you're not on screen, so I can't ask. Are the same courses that are in the certificate transferring over to the master's program, or is it the master's program completely from scratch? Great question. The answer is they're the same. So you can transfer all 12 hours over. I'm going to see if I can give you guys a sneak peek of what it's going to look like. All right, let me share my screen real quick. Okay, hopefully you can see this. This is kind of tentative, it's not official, but you can see that there's 18 hours of content knowledge, and you can see that these two are part of the certificate. This class, actually, we just got informed today that it actually got approved. So Sociology of Sport and Cultural Foundations of Coaching is going to be offered this spring. So you could take that as your elective if you're interested. I think this is an important class that we need to include in our programs. Motor learning for coaches, sport and exercise psych for coaches, coaching for human performance. This one just got approved today. This one is being taught in the spring as well. Dr. Buning is teaching that one, and I'm teaching this one. So those are two classes that we've created in the past few months to get that approved. This one also got approved today, Understanding and Conducting Research in Sports and Coaching. The idea behind this isn't necessarily to make you some kind of hotshot researcher. The idea behind this is to help you to learn how to understand research articles so that you can interpret them and use them in your own coaching. So we're not trying to make you researchers. We're trying to make you knowledgeable about how to understand research and use it. The athletic coaching internship is already approved. We actually decided we're going to get rid of this comprehensive exam, so no comp exam for you guys. And then some electives. We haven't built some of these, but I want to do a class on international perspectives of coaching. This one already exists, athletic administration. And I think Dr. Renaud teaches that. She's a Hall of Fame volleyball coach. Technology and analytics in sport, we're building that one. And then Dr. Renaud teaches athlete recruitment as well. So those are some electives as well. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. What are the requirements of the internship? 75 hours, if you're not already currently coaching, is the standard that we have. I don't teach the class, Dr. Buning does, but essentially what you'll be doing is, if you're new to coaching, you'll be working with a coach, either observing or assisting, and then hopefully eventually they allowing you to do coaching on your own. You'll do it under observation from them. And then you'll also have observation from Dr. Buning, where she'll observe you coach as well and provide feedback. This is not a, we're going to grill you and, make you take this class 4 times because you did something wrong in your coaching. This is more of a, how do I learn, reflect as I coach so that I can become better. If you have any more questions about that, Avery, just send me an email, tbaghurst@fsu.edu, and I can put you in touch with Dr. Buning, and she can give you more information about that. So my goal is to maximize output of athletes by eliminating distraction and overload. Are there accelerated mental toughness awareness courses that fit into this category? Yeah, we have the class Sport and Exercise Psych for coaches. That's the class where you would learn things like that. So again, when we look at sport psych, we're looking at how do we maximize the mental processes of athletes to get the most out of them. So mental toughness is obviously a big part of that. So definitely include that. If you're taking the certificate, you could take the sport psych for coaches as your elective. Okay, I think, any more questions? You're more than welcome to email me or send me a text or call me if you have any questions. But seriously, check out the YouTube channel. It's crazy how many people we've had on there as guests, and from so many different sports. And the popular one from this last month was a high school basketball coach. She was a full-time deputy sheriff, and then coached a boys' high school basketball team in Alabama. And so it's really interesting to talk about her experiences coaching boys and coaching girls and some of the challenges she's had to overcome with that. So all kinds of different guest speakers coming on. So I hope you check that out for sure. Thanks everybody for joining me. Hope you continue to stay interested in FSU Coach and reach out with any questions.